G'day everyone, welcome to the How to Halo Reach ODST web series. This is of course tutorial part 9. My name's Andrew DFT, and of course in today's tutorial we're going to be focusing on the shin and the foot section. These are two very easy builds that we can get through quite quick. So by the end of the tutorial you should have two pieces looking like this. They easily slot onto your shin and onto your shoe and will fit there quite nicely. Nothing too difficult, and to rate it I will actually give it a 3 out of 10. A very simple build. The only difficult parts that you might have trouble in is actually getting all these little levels together, but that's nothing you haven't done in the previous tutorials. So enough talk, let's jump right into it. Alright, so to kick things off, go ahead and print out the templates required. You only need 2 for this one, which is cool. So once we've got the templates all printed out, we'll go ahead and use one of them first. We'll do this in 2 stages. So grab the shin template and slowly transfer it across onto the foam itself. So that way you should have the overall structure cut out like so of the foam using a nice new sharp craft blade. Always should be changing that craft blade for every new tutorial. Then what we're going to do is start breaking apart this template. We'll start that off by cutting out these square shapes that are sitting on the edge of this template, and then of course we can use the negative spacing to transfer that onto the foam itself. Then what we're going to do is break apart the template even further by cutting up the vertical lines on the template and transferring them across to the foam, remembering to swap the template over so you can attack both sides at once. So slowly breaking apart that template and drawing in those vertical lines. It will take some time, but this is where your key detail will be made, so do take your time and be patient with the process. Once we've of course transferred all those lines on, we can start heating up the foam to really make it malleable and bend around your shin. So you will need to heat it up to a degree so that you can bend it around your own shin, so that way it's custom fit, and then it should have that nice bent shape like so. Then you're going to grab that nice new sharp craft blade and actually cut out these square side pieces. Once they're cut out, then we can slice that in half again just to make it a bit thinner, and then what you're going to do is put it directly back into position but on a lower level. You've done this kind of technique a lot in the previous tutorials, so it shouldn't be too much difficulty for you. And then of course go ahead and do it to the remaining 3, so you should have all 4 of them looking like that. Now what you're going to do is cut out the center lines. We'll start off from the side and work our way in, so cut out the first 2 lines, either on the right or left, your choice. And what you're going to do is you're going to grab that center piece and we're going to slice that in half, because we're going to be pretty much doing the exact same technique we just did for those side squares, but on the interior vertical lines here. So we can glue that back into position after having cut it in half, and then glue the other side also into position. This way, putting it on a negative level gives us this nice 3D effect that you can quite clearly see on screen right now. And do make sure you put some hot glue on the back seams just to make sure it's quite nice and sturdy. Then of course you'll need to go and do it for the remaining vertical lines. I don't need to show a video because the process is pretty simple and you just need to go do it. So it should turn out something like this, with all those levels raised and looking rather nice. Now what you'll notice is on the template we do have this little square thing sitting in the middle. This is just a tiny bit of detail that can be added, but we will add it, only because it just adds another level of 3D. So go ahead, cut out the square, transfer it onto the foam, then slice it out, and then of course we'll slice it in half, just because we don't need it to be that full thickness of the foam. We just want it to be a nice little decoration piece that goes on the top, even though it is a very blank rectangle. But nonetheless, it should come out like that, and we can move on to the actual foot section. Now this piece is actually a lot easier, and it's actually probably a very simple tutorial compared to many of the other pieces on this build. So what you do is grab out the template, cut it out, and then transfer all those 3 pieces onto the foam. You won't need to flip anything here because the template is designed in all parts. Then what you can do is cut out all those pieces from the foam, so you should have them looking like that. Now what we're going to do is do a little bevel technique on the inside of this centerpiece. So draw out a line about halfway through on both sides, like you can see here, and we're just going to go bevel on an interior angle to cut out those edges. This is just going to allow us to have a nice little 3D kind of edge once we bend the wings into position. Now what you're going to do is grab that template, the centerpiece template, and cut it in half, because we're going to flip over our centerpiece and draw a horizontal line exactly in the middle, well, where the 2 edges meet, and we'll go ahead and bevel out that section. Now you've done this before. This is the technique we do where we cut in straight down and then come in on both sides, beveling in, to allow us to get this really nice kind of nice edge without cutting all the way through the foam and making a seam line. And to do that, of course, we just simply heat it up and then put some hot glue into that new crevice and bend it over so you have a nice edge looking like that. Now all that's left is just to simply glue the parts into position. They should just slot in with no problems, just with ease. You might need to maybe wiggle it in a bit just to make sure you haven't overbent the seam, but otherwise it should just look simply like that with that nice kind of 3D notch. Now to finish it off, all we're going to do is cut out a random piece of foam, like a little square, roughly about that big, and glue it onto the back. This will just help support it on the shoe and really levitate it up. But otherwise that wraps up the 2 pieces needed, and of course you will need to build another set, so that way you have, I don't know, the armor for both legs. So that's it. Hopefully you guys didn't find it too difficult. You now have these pieces ready to be slotted on to your shin and your shoe. Now to strap them on, they will use straps, but that will be covered in part 10 when I tell you on how each individual piece will be applied to your body. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching, and of course I'll join you in that part 10 where we focus on putting all the straps together, as well as a few customizations on how you can take your armor further, and a few little tips and tricks to help you guys finish off your costume. Good luck on the shins and the foot, and of course I'll catch you later.